Hello boys and girls, today I'm going to show you how to do your project. First thing you want to do is take out your guidelines. Your guidelines is this page that I gave you. You're going to want to go straight to the procedure and just make sure you have your rubric at the bottom. It was supposed to be about 2 pages because it's front and back. The rubric will be important when we are done with our project. Okay. So I'm not going to do every single picture with you. I'm just going to show you one picture. I'm going to show you the general format. You guys are responsible enough that you should be able to do the rest by yourself. So the first thing you're going to have to do is get pictures. You can either go get pictures in real life, or you can use the internet and get pictures. Now, if you use the internet, you need to have 6 pictures, which also means you're writing 6 paragraphs. If you're using real life photos, you need 3 pictures, which means you're writing 3 paragraphs. We will also accept vacation photos for this. If you have a really good vacation photo where you see weathering, uh, you can use that photo. I already have my photos done. I'm not going to go outside right now and show you how to take pictures. So let me show you. Here are my pictures. I have frost wedging. I took 2 pictures for frost wedging to show it really nicely. I'm going to explain why I took 2 photos in a second. We have the photo here, which is actually the rounded rocks is what we're looking at this picture. And then we have chemical weathering going on the side. So the first thing you're going to need to do is, after you got your photos, is to label the pictures. So what you're going to do is copy. The first thing I'm going to show you is how to do it in Google Drive, which I think is a little bit harder than doing it in Paint. But if that's all you have access to, that is fine. Paint is a free download if you do want to download that. I do believe it is a lot easier, but again, if this is all you have and you don't feel like downloading Paint, we can work with this. So the first thing you're going to do is click Insert, Drawing. This will pop up. You have to press Control V. It will not let you paste the picture if you do not press Control V, so make sure you press Control V. On Macs, it would be Command V. Then we're going to crop the image. Okay. We only really want the sign. I obviously don't care about my friends' faces. Go down a little bit more. I really want that rust too on the sign. Okay, so that part is done. The next thing you want to do is start the labeling. So now that we have this photo right here, I can draw my text box. But before I want to do that, I want to make this picture a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. And now I can start properly labeling it. What I'm going to do is draw my text box. Doesn't matter how big you can make it, you can always edit this later. So right here I would write chemical weathering, oxidation uh, is occurring on, as oxidation and carbonation because the rust down, well you can't see my hand. Right here is the little rust. I don't know if you can properly see that. There's rust here too. So it would be oxidation and carbonation is occurring on the sign. Additionally, the moss is chemically weathering the rocks around it. Okay. And then we could put this, you could put it to the side if you need to, or if you're crafty, you could do this. Highlight everything. I press Control A, Command A works, or you can just highlight the whole thing. Change the color so it stands out. See if that worked. Nope. For to change the text inside, you have to go to more. Red. Still can't really see that. Another option is if you can't really get it to look good on this, so that the yellow works pretty well, it looks like. But let's say I couldn't get this to look good on this picture, there's no colors that really work. Then what you're going to want to do is click on this button right here and select white. Oops. Make sure it's on solid. Select white. Obviously make sure your text matches the color you choose, and that'll show you the little text like that. I also recommend, if you're going to do this, please put the box around it so I can tell that. And just to show you how I did that, I clicked on this border color right here, and I chose a border color. It doesn't matter what border color you choose, as long as I can tell there's a border around it, and that'll look like that. Now once you've gotten this done, you press save and close. It'll pop up on your thing, and you have your first labeled photo. Okay? So you're going to do this for your other photos as well. And now I'm going to show you how to do that in Paint. So we're going to use these two photos. This is the reason I wanted to show you. Press copy. You open up Paint. Control V. You're going to get a giant picture. To zoom out, I press Control, and you can scroll with the mouse, or you can press this button right here. Okay, so this is my first picture right here. What I'm going to do next is go to my other photo because I feel like that photo doesn't super show frost wedging. See, you can definitely tell that there's frost wedging here, but you can't really see the hole. So what I wanted to do was to show that what's going on. So make a little smaller version right here to show that frost wedging is occurring. Now we want to cut this photo down just a little bit. So you press select and cover everything that you want. Okay, so now I have my little border around this, a little hard to see. Press Control C, okay, then Control A, delete, then repaste with Control V. Make it a little bigger, make the borders match, and we have our first picture right here. Now, the next thing you're going to do is label your photo. So click on text, draw your text box, and you can write frost, oh, physical weathering, occurring, frost wedging is creating potholes. Okay, we're gonna obviously need to make this bigger. Make it so we can actually see. Alright. Might even want to make this a little bit bigger. Okay. And then click off that. Now, if you, as you can see, that kind of didn't really pop up too well. We can now, if you, let's say you make a mistake, now you can't really click on this again. What you're going to want to do is press Control Z. It'll get rid of that. And in order to make the text box so you can actually see what's being written in it, you're going to want to make a little box before you do it. Make a little box, fill that in, get your text box, make it the same size as the one you just made. Uh, Make sure it's stretched to the proper setting. So physical. Oh, also don't do what I just did. I forgot to change the color to black. Physical weathering, frost wedging is occurring on the sidewalk. Okay. Alright, good. Now that we have that, we can. Hold on, I just accidentally. And also, if you want to move it around, you can just select the thing like we did in the beginning and move it over. Alright. Then once you have this, file, save. We'll call it Weathering Project 1. Throw it in my downloads folder. Save. Then you can go to your Word document. Also, if you have Google Docs, this works as well. Insert, and you go to Pictures. Save it in Downloads. Weathering Project 1. Here's our first one. Okay, so that would be our second picture. So now what you're going to do is copy. I'm going to go back to my Word document right now because I want to show you guys how to do it in Word. Google Docs, I mean. I know a lot of you don't have Word at home. So if you don't have Word at home, you could also do the same thing here. It pops right up just like that one. Now what you want to do is make your first page all your photos. So we'll bring this up, make it a little smaller, make it a little thicker too if we would like. Now, don't worry, if you really can't fit all three photos on here, I can tell you right now, I'm not going to be able to fit all three photos on this one page. That's okay. Let me just insert my third picture in here. So for my third picture, I'm not going to edit it because that would take too long. I'm just going to quickly copy and paste it. Okay, crop. And obviously you would label this one, you wouldn't just leave it like this. Okay, so like I said, I'm not going to be able to fit this. So that's okay if your first page goes over. What you want to do next is unclick off that. Okay, and then scroll down. And I want you to write the location that this happened at. So this location, now you can write this below it, or you can write it above it. To write it below it, just click enter, go over, and there you go. So this would be Massapequa, corner of, it was Baltimore and Broadway. Now, if you don't want to get this super specific, you don't have to, but at least include the city. Try to, it looks better if it is specific, but if you only want to include that, you can do that as well. Then we have this one. Enter that down so I can write. This would be Mount Trail to Mount Marcy. And then this one would be top of Mount Marcy. Just try to make it so it's not more than 2 pages. I know on Google Docs this is going to be very hard to do. If you do have Word at home, it's a lot easier to do. You'll actually be able to make it fit. And the reason being is if you have Word, they have this thing called wrap text. You could select in front or behind, it doesn't matter which one you choose. I usually go with behind because it's easier to move. And you can actually move it to the borders or wherever you want for these ones, which is why I think Word is a little bit better, but I know all of you don't have access to it at home. So if you don't have access to that, it's not a big deal. You want to make sure when you're doing it in Word that you enter all the way down before you do it. And the reason for that is so you can click on wherever you need to go. So what I would do here, if I was using Word, I would put the picture, the locations off to the side. Okay. And make sure that that's all together. Okay. Same thing, wrap text, put behind, move it over, move it right, let's move it, we can move it right here. Okay. And then I would write, also if you want to use most of your paper, you go to layout, margins, narrow. Okay, alright, that accidentally moved everything over. Not a big deal, we can just quickly move that over. Alright, then we put our location. Now, for some of you, if you're gonna do this, notice how I did it on the side for here, and on this one I'm on the right above it. So I would write top of Mount Marcy, and in parentheses I would write below. That way, when I'm grading your papers, I know that this correlates to the picture below it. And then this, same thing, copy, paste. Uh, didn't come out too, so this didn't come out too well because I didn't edit it before bringing it over. If I had edited it and then brought it over, it would have came out a lot better. You guys, please spend a little bit more time actually making sure that this looks good because this is what you're being graded on. Alright, then we would enter over. I could also make this picture a lot bigger if I wanted to. I could make it, I would edit it around. I would not leave it as small as this is. I could probably even edit this one, make it this one a little bit smaller so I can make this one a little bit bigger. Okay, that's probably in a more appropriate size. I can see everything. I'll be able to see your labeling better with that. So here, we would write, let's actually go down, trail to Mount Marcy, and then below. And over here, we could add to the left. Alright, so that's just your first page right here. Now, like I said, Word's going to have a lot of easier time getting this all on one page. If you're using Google Docs, it's okay if you fall down onto a second page unless you can figure out how to text wrap this. I'm actually not too sure how to do that on Google Docs. I'm not too sure if that's actually even possible. So the next thing you're going to do after you do all that is type your essay. So now if you're on Google Docs and you just had to go onto that second page, I want you to put a line. I put it all the way across. So I know that this is now your essay. Okay, you're going to tab in. You're going to say, now we're going to go back to our guidelines. We did step 1's done, step 2 is done. Now we're at step 3. Each photo or drawing must be clearly labeled. We did that, giving location, explaining what it shows. Now examples of leathering. Sorry, actually we already did that too. So we did 1, 2, and 3. We're up to 4. Make a report or wall poster. I'm not going to show you the wall poster. Be creative with the wall poster. Remember, we showed you an example in class. It should be a giant photo, or not a giant photo, a giant poster with the dimensions that I posted on my website, which, for those of you who keep forgetting it, www.mrvaleri.classroom.weebly.com. We go to menu, we go to homework, we scroll all the way down, and the file for the erosion, the weather project is right here. Click on that, save it. Once that downloads, click on that. And these are the dimensions right here for that project. Alright, so make sure you're staying in this project. You're going to have your 3 labeled photos, or 6 if you're using the internet, and you're going to write your objective questions below it. Now back to the regular just report. What you're going to do is answer these 3 questions. So I would start with, now you don't have to have an intro really that much. If you do add an intro, that'll definitely add to our rubric. So let's say you made an intro, that would be considered uh, that would be a 4 because you added thoughtful comments and graphics. Scientific concepts is straightforward. This is if you are on point, you're accurate with all your statements. What you're showing me is what you're explaining. Spelling is pretty self-explanatory. This will be your labeling. To get a 4, all you need to do is this. To get a 4 for the components, that's going to be if you added an intro, if you added a conclusion, and then you would get a 3 if you only add the 3 paragraphs, which I'm going to just show you how to get a 3. If you want to get a 6, you would do intro. Obviously, don't write intro. Write out an engaging intro, something that's going to lure someone into reading your paragraphs. So I'm going to start with just one paragraph. I would choose the first picture right here. So my first picture is located at located in Massapequa on the corner of Baltimore and Broadway. This picture is showing physical weathering. Okay? Then after you say that, you're going to write the definition of physical weathering. I'm not going to tell you what it is here. You should know this. And if you don't know this, then you need to use your notes to look this up. The definition of physical weathering. The specific type of physical weathering shown is frost wedging. And then you would write definition of frost wedging. Okay. And then what you're going to do next is, so we answered, we go back up. We just did this. That's done. We determined the causes of it. Uh, because when you define it, that's going to tell me how frost wedging occurs, what frost wedging does. And obviously, if you're doing something else besides frost wedging, make sure you put the definition for it, how it's happening, and why it's happening. The next way is to develop ways to prevent erosion. Uh, now, erosion is the traveling or transporting of materials. For frost wedging, that's not really occurring too much here. It's actually just being dissolved, being broken up. So you could also just say how to prevent frost wedging. So write how to prevent frost wedging here. Now let's say for whatever reason you don't know really how to prevent frost wedging. You can use Google. How to prevent frost wedging. And a whole bunch of things will come up. Now, when you're doing this, when you are using Google, make sure you are using valid sites. So just to re-go over this, sites that are good and reliable are sites that end in .edu, .gov. Uh, if you're going to use a .com, you have to be careful. Not all .coms are reliable. Make sure you're using a reliable source. What are examples of non-reliable sources, you might ask? Wikipedia. Any sort sites that are biased. So biased sites. Any sites that looks like they may have been created by a student. Alright. Sites .com sites that are good would be sites that are created by teachers or professors. Sites that have accurate information. How do you know if it has accurate information? You have to do more research. You have to make sure that the information on that site is accurate. Now, when you're using these sites, I want you to be very careful because you might accidentally plagiarize. If you plagiarize on this project, you will only get a 50%, and that is a failing grade, obviously. So to prevent plagiarizing, there's two things you can do. You can paraphrase, meaning you're making their own definitions into your own words, and you can cite these paragraphs. If you want to cite, and you should cite, because we're going to be throwing this in through Turnitin.com, you can use EasyBib. I don't know if anyone's ever used EasyBib.com before, but if you go on EasyBib, you can click MLA, and it'll help you cite your uh, website, book, whatever you need to cite. In order to, if you ever need to parenthetical cite, what parenthetical citation is, it means you took the definition pretty much exactly word for word, or you took the definition and it's very close, you would put in parentheses and you would put the author's name or whatever you're, depending on what you're citing. EasyBib can help you with that as well. Just to give you an example, okay, cite it. Now, this is an example of something that's might be uh reliable because it is by a certified educator, and I know for a fact that eNotes is usually very is correct. It's usually actually teachers who are answering students' questions, so this might actually help. And if you were weren't like me, let's say you were just looking at eNotes, you're like, oh, I don't really know if this is a reliable source. I would go on another website and make sure all this information is correct. Okay, so we go to EasyBib, cite it, cite this, and it'll already do it. Now, right here, there are things that it couldn't get, like the author. So you would just click on this. So the author here is called Megamind. So we just write in Megamind 16. Uh, okay, electronically published. I don't think it had one over here. Let's see though. The citation might help us also. So actually, it gives us a citation here. It was electronically published on the 28th of October. The only reason I'm going through EasyBib, you can use that citation that you just saw, is just to show you the parenthetical citation. Okay, so now you've created your citation. Click View and List, and right here, if you click on parenthetical citation, oh, okay, so it's actually only available in EasyBib.pro. So if you're having trouble citationing, what you would do is parenthetically cite Megamind 16, which would look like this. Megamind 16 and parentheses. That's for a website only. If it's a book, you would write what the author, comma, the page number, whatever the page number is. All right. So that's a little insight to sources being reliable and how to cite properly. Uh, just make sure you don't plagiarize. I don't want to take off any points for anyone really, but I will if I have to. All right. So now look, we have all our objectives answered. This is now going to be a 5 to 6 paragraph, 5 to 6 sentence paragraph easily, uh, based because you have to define the frost wedging and how to prevent it. Then you would go to your next one, second paragraph, which would be your second picture, doing the same thing, making sure you're answering all the objective questions. If you do not answer all the objective questions, you can't get a 3. Alright? In order to get a 3, you must answer all the objective questions and have the correct amount of paragraphs. And I don't want to see people jumbling up their things like this. You have to have a second paragraph. Okay? Third paragraph, because I used 3 pictures, and then you're done. Now, if you just do this, this is the bare basics. This is how you get a 3. If you want a 4, add an intro and a conclusion. And that is how you do your project. As you saw, it doesn't really take too long to do this. The longest portion that's going to take is looking up how to prevent the weathering from occurring or the erosion from occurring, depending on what picture you're doing. Remember, erosion is the traveling of these sediments or traveling of the material, and that would be how you would prevent that. I will also accept just how to prevent the weathering in general. If you really don't understand erosion, we did go over it a little bit. If you do have any questions, please feel free to send me a remind. Also, if you are not on Remind, you should sign up for it. I have the Remind instructions here. This is how to sign up through uh, text. If you need to sign up through the computer, please contact me. I have a contact page right here. It has my email as well as Miss Sahar's email, or you could even fill out this form right here and it'll send me an email as well. I hope you guys have a great week, and remember, contact me if you have any questions.